Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Just told a story of a groom who saved a young black child from drowning. And he was taking pictures at the park with his wife after their wedding. He ruins his tux. He saves the black kid. The black kid gets up and runs away. And probably called him a cracker. Y'all may chuckle at that, but it's the truth. It's probably true. I don't mean that part, but I'm saying metaphorically, it wasn't a care in the world. Didn't say, hey, thank you, Mr. White Man, for saving my life. Maybe the kid was in shock, right? No harm, no foul. But I know my kids would have thanked him. I know I, as a parent, would have thanked him and the photographer for helping me avoid the shock of burying a child, particularly if I was the negligent party. I didn't see, there was nothing in that story. There wasn't a parent that came back and went, hey, white dude, thank you for saving my child. I don't even think the other kids were admonished. I doubt, here's something I'll tell you, I doubt that those kids went back and even told what happened. They probably just said, he fell in the water. I don't know any of that, but I'm speculating because I can't imagine. I'm at a park, my kids were playing, and the kids, almost drowns. The guy saves them. They run back over to me wet and tell me the story as it happened. And I didn't admonish the friends of my little son and say, why would you push my son in the water? Why would you not go get help? And why would you not let me, how could you do this? I feel like Rick Perry just now. I couldn't come up with something on the third one. but anyway, you get what I'm saying? Because if you told me that, I'm going, show me the man that did this. I'm going to look for him. Now, maybe you guys don't have that kind. I'm just using connective dot logic here. Were there no parents around? Because that's the only way. I don't go thank this man. I watched my grandmother lose her daughter in a routine women's, operation that she went in for a day surgery, and my grandmother get us from school, go pick my mom up to find out that my mother had died. I'll never forget that look. I was a kid, and I can still remember that look. So if you would avoid me burying one of my kids, hey, sign me up. So I know I'm thanking this guy. Nothing. Anybody think Black Lives Matter or whatever special interest minority group that applies will thank this white man for saving the life of a minority child? Will they celebrate him in any way? We posted a thing. I think this kid's name is Jonathan Smith. We posted a graphic of a young black kid in Vegas who they say saved about 30 lives. And he got shot in the neck, and the bullet may have to stay lodged because of where it's located. A selfless act. Now, Paddock and the Antifa crowd and the leftists and all the people that say, hey, pray that it was only Trump tards who died, things like this, or I don't really care who was killed, they were country music fans, so they were probably all conservatives. Do you think that they would look at little Jonathan, I say little, he's a 30-year-old man, and see what he did and feel that way? He almost got killed, and he didn't decide, you know what, that's just a bunch of old country white boys. I ain't going to worry about saving them. No, he did what Americans do. You think CNN or anybody else is going to run a profile on him to talk about how great this country is and how some young black men are amazing? They don't see color. They see tragedy and they run towards it. Let me tell you something. I don't know much about what people want to do in terms of helping people. But if I was a guy running a major organization, I'd find a spot for that kid. My organization would hire him in a minute. We just don't have the funds. But that's a guy I want on my payroll. That white dude who saved that kid, that's a guy I want on my payroll. That's a guy who represents America. Jonathan is a guy who represents America, but not what the left wants you to know. And Black Lives Matter isn't going to celebrate him. They're not going to celebrate Jonathan. Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson aren't going to celebrate Jonathan. They're certainly not going to celebrate this white boy. You think Barack Obama's going to come and give part of his Nobel Peace Prize money to either of these fellas? National Urban League? Congressional Black Caucus? Nancy Pelosi? Chuck Schumer? Anybody? They'll all talk about the Vegas tragedy. They'll talk about the guns. They'll talk about all the other things, but they will miss the human element of all of it that makes us American. The number of selfless people who did. You're going to hear the stories. You're going to hear them from conservative outlets for the most part. And the only thing that the left will do, they'll feature, oh, this poor beautiful white girl, she got killed. Her husband protected her. You'll hear the one or two stories around it. I was in the green room with John Rich, country and western guy, a singer, and John was regaling a story where he says his aunt called him to get tickets to the guy and his wife, who the guy ended up shielding his wife and he died. And he said, I think he said that the wife could hear the bullets hitting her husband in the back. But he saved her life. And John feels horrible. He says, I heard him say, I got him tickets to come into the VIP to go through the whole deal. They get into the concert and then, they dead. Says he feels guilt. How could he feel guilt? He didn't do it. Anyway, I want to go back to this guy that saved these kids. This is a man who represents the thousands of stories, folks, that go unheralded every single day as the left offers false narratives of this country. That's who we are. That young black man who saved people in Las Vegas, saving white folks. That's who we are. Barack Obama's always, here's what he'll tell us. I remember when he would say, you don't want to let people into the border. I mean, that's just not who we are. That's not who we are. He's quick to tell us who we're not. So what are we? You've witnessed what we are. You know what we are. How do you allow them to define what we are or what we not are? I look at these stories and I go, we gotta do a better job of getting the word out about stuff like this. And not only that, those are the heroes. See, Hollywood's going to go run away. Vegas will be done, and they'll be planning their next gala, and they're going to give a bunch of nonsense to people who don't matter. Black football players, they're going to run off with their trophy wives and their girlfriends and their whatevers, their boyfriends, and they're going to go get some stupid award that's meaningless, but they're going to feel like it's a big deal. They're going to think they went to war. I heard Tom Brady or something. My guys, we come out on this field and we leave it all behind. And blah, blah. If you leave it all behind, why ain't somebody dead? Because let me tell you, there are guys that go out in this world on our behalf and they leave it all behind. And that means they got a flag. That thing that the Chicago school board member called toilet paper draped over their coffins. They leave it all on the field, Tom Brady. And I like Tom Brady, but I just let's not get it twisted. One day, I hope this kid who got saved by this white man realizes the gravity of what happened. I hope he seeks out the man who saved his life and thanks him for doing what nobody else could have done for him in that moment. And I hope that kid understands the selfless act by a man who didn't look at this kid's skin color, but just his need, and he acted on it. It reminds me of the that theater shooting, you remember, that occurred in was it Colorado? And it was a young black man who shielded a woman and her children as the boyfriend ran out. And he got shot. The kid got shot. And I'm thinking, why don't we have award shows for him? Why don't we have reward shows for the guys who stand on that sideline in the NFL? By the way, I'm not going to help the NFL out. In as much as all these guys overwhelmingly do not support the nonsense of Kaepernick and his peers, there are many of them who say, to heck with them, I'm standing. But when they root it out, then I'll believe it. But here's my point. we still need to honor these men because they're going against the grain. When do we, as a movement, start saying we're not going to look at award shows that honor people who are multimillionaires playing games? We're going to honor people who do things that showcase the American spirit. How about that? You remember that kid that stood alone? His entire football team stayed in the locker room while the national anthem was played, and this kid came out. He's the Villanueva of college football. You remember this kid? Or maybe it was high school. No, I think it was college. That's a hero to me. That's a guy we should be showcasing, and we should have award shows featuring these people. Best Supporting American.
Kevin Jackson
on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177, or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.